Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Be Unapologetically You, a podcast that is about life. It is about everything that you experience in life, whether it's personal or in business. If you've known me before, and I said this on my first episode, this is like the fourth time that I've tried to do a podcast, and I realised, what did I want to put out there? What sort of podcast did I want to make? And this is it. I don't want to limit anything. I don't think we should ever put a limitation on ourselves anyway, so here we are. Be Unapologetically You. It's, something that's dear to me. It was a project of mine. Oh, it's going to be like nearly 4 years ago now. And since that moment, since being able to take that leap and go into those, essentially take away those boundaries, to be totally honest, upon myself, I found that my life in general, within work and outside of work, has flourished because of it. So this episode today is actually called Getting in Your Own Way. So this leads into it quite nicely. And the reason that I wanted to talk about getting in your own way is it's something that I find a lot with my clients, and I found a lot with myself personally when I was going on my own self-development journey. We have this weird expectation of ourselves. We have this weird kind of pressure that we put on ourselves to be like, you have to be like this, you have to do this, you have to, be a millionaire by 30 years old, you have to have the nice car, the nice watch, the beautiful wife or husband and 2.5 kids or whatever the hell it is now, white picket fence sort of like life. And we put this, it's a really demoralizing boundary that you put on yourself, because when you figure out that you can't actually 100% guarantee that something's going to happen by a particular time, you are putting an expectation on the unknown. Now, within business, we consistently play with the unknown. You don't know how that business is going to go. You don't know who's going to like it. You don't know who's going to buy it. Like when I started Emerge Elite, I didn't think that anyone was going to buy it. I hope to help that they did, because otherwise it would have been quite pointless. But at the same time, you're going into the unknown. Now, the difference is when you put that expectation on yourself and you put that limit on yourself of the unknown, then it can get quite demoralizing. It can really mess with your head. And it was one thing that I always thought that I was the weird kid. I'm not saying that I wasn't a weird kid. I was different from most people, and that's cool. That's okay, because, it is what it is. I definitely noticed as a young adult, between the ages of probably 16 to 22, I wasn't like everyone else in the sense of I didn't want what they wanted. Some of my friends wanted to get married and have kids and do stuff like that, and I didn't. I wanted to travel and see the world and experience different cultures and meet people. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to settle. I really didn't want to be in a relationship or anything like that. I was happy being on my own. And then there's a very distinct moment in my life that I will share with you that happened with my mum and dad. So I travelled to America for the best part of 6 months on my own for my first ever flight, my first ever experience of working on my own, like working alone. That's the same thing. Working abroad, I meant to say, like having that sort of, freedom. And it was very distinctive that I was about 18, 19 years old. I think, no, more 19. Just about to turn 20. No. Was I about to turn 20? I don't actually know. I was around that age. I was late teens, early 20s. And I'd secured a placement, like work experience role in America, and that was it. I was going. Now, the reason that I wanted to tell this story is just for the simple fact of when my mum and dad dropped me off at the airport, you're thinking a 19-year-old hasn't really experienced the world that much, if you really think about it, with a suitcase and a backpack. And I was about to go and travel 13 hours on a plane to the Midwest of America to go to a place I didn't know, with people I didn't know, to do a job that I didn't really know because I was still new in the equine industry. That's what I started my career in. And I was just doing it. And it was what I wanted to do. I saved my money up. I was working like 4 different jobs at the same time to save up the money to go. And I was going. And why getting in your own way is such a big thing for me is because I remember distinctively, or my parents like to remind me of this, I remember the moment of I had my passport in hand, the security was that way, and I'm going. I've made this decision and I'm going, and I'm not going to look behind me. And I'm not going to check anything out, where people normally would. just as a safety. You know that your safety net is still behind you, which was my parents. And it's where my parents like to remind me, especially my mother, of being like, you didn't look back at one point. I literally just picked up my bag, gave them a hug, said goodbye, said that I loved them, and I was off. 19 years old, about to go and travel. Never been on a plane before. Fuck it. I was going. I think that's why I've really enjoyed that they never stopped me in that moment. They never pushed me back or tried to make me second guess or just even consider what could happen. And I know that might sound silly because some people are like, well, you know, lots of things could have happened. And yeah, they could. Lots of things can happen if you step out your front door at the same time. But my parents didn't. I mean, my mum was a bit more scared than my dad, and my dad was kind of reassuring my mum to be like, this is our daughter. She's headstrong and she's driven and she's going. And it was a nice... Whenever I think about getting in my own way, I like to think of that moment. I like to think of nothing was going to stop me from going to America, and it ended up me spending more time in America than I thought I was going to. I got to then travel Europe after it. I then moved to the south of England, where I'm originally from, like... I'm originally from near Liverpool. I'm a Merseyside girl. I just did it. I just went. And I like to remind myself of that moment when I ever doubt myself, you know, like if I've done anything with Emerge Elite and I've had that moment of uncertainty and lack of clarity or anything like that, and I've just gone, ooh, I don't know if I should be doing this. I like to kind of remind myself of that moment, because that 19-year-old was not letting anyone, including herself, get in the way. She was going to go and do that because that's what I planned to do. I think the main thing that affects our society today is the limitations that we put on each other. And then the worst one is the limitation you put on yourself. Because if you limit yourself, it's a lot harder to tell that voice in your head that you are good enough than you are not good enough. And these conversations that you have with yourself on the daily are so important. So important. It's like, for me, it kind of hurts my feelings quite a lot when I hear people talk about themselves in a negative manner. When they just say that this shirt doesn't fit them well, or this dress doesn't look good, or they feel ugly and unattractive, or why would anyone want to work with them because they have this person who's doing it and doing it really well. And it does hurt my feelings, because that self-doubt, that limitation that they've put on themselves has come from somewhere. We don't wake up as wake up? Yeah. We don't wake up as children thinking that we're terrible. You know? I mean, I'm pretty sure half the time I thought I was Batman. Don't know why, but I thought I was cool. I thought I was a superhero when I was a kid. And to be totally honest, in my own little way, I still think so today. I'm not going to fight crime and take over the world and stuff like that, but I'm a superhero to myself because I take care of myself and I love myself and I love the people around me, and that is one of the biggest superpowers I think that I can have. And I know that it partly comes from the environment that we are now in. The environment has changed so much in a very short period of time because of the likes of social media and internet presence, and being able to put a picture online and have it ridiculed and pulled apart. It's it's like, for an example, I put some of my bodybuilding stuff everywhere, and I know, I'm fully aware that I am not the next IFBB pro. I'm not, because number one, I'm natural, and number two, I'm definitely nowhere near in that competitive league. I know this. And I have had it a few times on social media where I post progress pictures, and yeah, okay, great. They might not seem a lot to someone, but they're a lot to me. And people have shit me down on it and just been like, you don't really need to tell us that you do bodybuilding. You don't look like a bodybuilder. You need another 10 years experience. And it's great. Let them say it. Like, really let them say it, because this is the whole point of, like, this episode, in the sense of, if you allowed that to grab you and to basically manipulate you in a way of thinking about yourself in a way that's not true, what is that doing for you? Seriously. Some random person on the internet, or whether it's your fucking neighbour, saying that you can't do it, what the hell does it have to do with them? It's a big statistic that 95% of businesses that open up will close in their first year. then 95% of the remaining 5% will close within 5 years. So believe me, when I started this bloody thing up, which is Emergily if you're not watching on YouTube, when I started this, do you really think that everyone was like, this is such a great idea? No, they were telling me that there's already Adidas and Nike and Gymshark and Lululemon and Sweaty Betty, and there's all of these massive gym brands out there that we don't need another one. No. In matter of fact, you could cut half of the gym brands, fitness brands, clothing brands, fucking homeware brands in half, and there'd still be too many technically that you need. But it's not a need that we're going for a want. And if I allowed that to get in my way, then I wouldn't have had to go through the experiences that I've gone through, which for both the good and the bad have been great for me. I don't want to go back in debt ever again in my life, but it taught me so much more about money that I didn't understand before. It taught me that money never ever was going to buy me happiness. It wasn't. Because in the depths of getting myself out of debt, I became the best version of myself. I actually got to be able to be myself and not think about the money side of it, to not think about working with an individual and just the paycheck that was coming at the back of it. I stopped thinking like that. I stopped getting in my own way, because I was convinced when I was younger, as a young individual, that the only way that I was ever going to be accepted and loved in this world was if I made a lot of money, because I did not value myself enough. I put value on the things that I brought to people's lives than the value of myself as a person. And that, the beautiful people on the internet, is what I'm trying to tell you not to do. Don't think that you as a person are not good enough. You are. You just need to get out of your head about it and stop thinking about what Tom and Sally and Derek down the road fucking think about it. Stop beating yourself up because you're not perfect. You're not meant to be perfect. Perfection is a goal that is unachievable. Because what is perfect? What is defined as perfect? The definition of perfect is varied between who you ask. Someone could think that a sunset is the most perfect moment in the world, where the other could say that it's their daughter. How do you compare the two? Just to make you think about little things, imagine what it's like to be in my fucking head. And I kind of want to finish this episode on maybe a little thought process for you to go through. If you want to. Obviously, you don't have to. If you just want to listen to this and probably think that I'm a bit of an idiot or think that I'm cool, great. Thank you very much for either. But I'm going to leave you with a little thought process. I want you to sit down with yourself and just take 15 minutes. 15 minutes in complete silence. No TV, no distractions, no nothing. No telly, no music. Just sit with yourself and think about if there's anything that you could remove from your life right now to allow you to live more authentically yourself and stop getting in your own way. What would those things be? Take a notebook, write it down, do anything like that. Now, a lot of the time, or at least this is what my therapist has gone through with me before, is sometimes you might just go, well, this is a stupid exercise, and you're going to sit there and put one thing down. Like, I think the first time I did it, I sat down and said the biggest thing that was getting in my way was money. I didn't have enough money to do the things that I needed to do to get where I needed to go. Now, the first time I said that to my therapist, she was a bit like, great, okay, so cool. We've definitely brought up for the fact of, you only value yourself through the money that you bring into your life or business. And I was like, yeah, great, cool, thanks. And it wasn't until we delved deeper and she said, just keep asking you why, and why, and why. And I did. And I suggest that you do the same. The great thing for me is what I found out by the end of it is I valued money because everything that I saw around me was driven by money. There were so many happy relationships on dream holidays and stuff like that because they had money. Because they must have been able to have money to go to Cyprus or Tenerife or America or something like that. Whereas I was in the position at the time where I was only just about able to put food on my table and, you know, just about to put a roof on my head. So yeah, my basic needs were met, but, you know, I couldn't think about going on holiday. I didn't have the money. All my money was being put back into this to make it grow again. This being Emergily, again, if you're not on YouTube, I keep forgetting because I'm looking at a camera. So yeah, and then I just kind of like, I demoralised myself because I was like, if I had an extra £20,000, like what could I do? I could probably pay someone to do all of this work for me and then I could go on holiday. I could do things like that. And by the way, mind you, I've been on holiday since I make more money. It's not the same. It's not the same unless you actually want to go. But then I've also recently come back from 2 trips to Crete with some really good friends of mine, and they've been incredible. So it's not just about money, if that makes sense. So yeah, if you have 15 minutes in your day, sit with yourself and ask yourself the questions of why you think you are currently getting in your own way right now to get where you want to go. Like, where do you want to go? Do you want to go and make a 6-figure business? Do you want to have a more connected relationship with your family or friends or partner? Do you want to bring more value? What are the things that are getting in the way of you being able to do that? It's quite an eye-opening exercise if you're willing to be really honest with yourself. And that's why I normally say that surround yourself in a room where there's no distractions, there's no people, there's no telly on or anything like that, because it will allow you to zone into the area a lot more and a lot quicker. And also you feel like you're not getting judged when it's just you and yourself. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Be Unapologetically You. I really appreciate your attention. I love the fact that you're here and that you're willing to listen to these conversations with me, because I like to think that we are having a conversation. If you have any questions, if you have anything that you would want, I don't know, want me to answer, then happily find me on Instagram at Emily E. Topping and send me a DM, and I would be more than happy to cover it in one of the episodes. I hope you have a fantastic day, week, month, year. You're the best. I love you.